All right, guys. Today I want to talk about an essay that I'll be sending you guys. An essay called The Ethics of Belief by William K. Clifford. And then just basically a response given by another philosopher, William James. So this idea that our beliefs, our opinions that we act upon have consequences in the real world. Okay, so basically what William Clifford is saying is that it's morally wrong to be factually wrong. He's going to go even further than that. He's going to say that you don't even have to have real world consequences. Okay, just the fact that you didn't do your homework is a kind of abnegation of your moral duty. So what does he say? He says basically that it's morally wrong to be factually wrong. It's morally wrong to have false beliefs. That's his first principle. His second principle is it's wrong to ignore evidence which is relevant to your beliefs. So let me try to put it this way. Okay, the standard idea in philosophy is that there's a difference between opinion and knowledge. Opinion is a part of knowledge, but is not in and of itself sufficient for knowledge. So the standard recipe is basically knowledge consists of justified true belief. There's some ground for believing in it. Okay, let me try to put that in a different way. Nobody cares what you think. Nobody cares what your opinion is. Okay, especially in this day and age, opinions are a dime a dozen. Nobody cares what your opinions are. What matters is justification, evidence, argumentation, and facts. And when we get that wrong, it carries with it consequences. So let's say just a few examples would be what? A few examples would be, I have a bunch in the slides, okay? Believing in the idea that a rhino horn has some kind of medicinal property, that the keratin in a rhino horn has some kind of magical medicinal property that can treat all kinds of ailments. That's demonstrably false, and yet it carries with it several negative consequences, such as, amongst others, endangering the species, okay, because of illegal poaching fueled by this false belief. So, what does William James respond? William James responds that he says you're not always in a position to determine whether a belief is true or false. Sometimes you have to kind of gamble. Okay, you're not always in a position to verify whether or not you can't always act on a certain true belief. Okay, so what he's gonna use basically Pascal's wager, which is what happens if what's the cost of believing in God or not, and he looks at it as kind of an insurance policy. He says if I do believe in God and God exists, then I go to heaven. Okay, a lot of assumptions there. We're talking about the Catholic kind of monotheistic God. You do believe in God, God exists, you go to heaven. So that's a big time payout. Okay? So that's how William James is looking at it, more pragmatically. It's not about true or false. Sometimes we can't determine what is true or false. Sometimes we don't have the available data, okay, to justify, to determine something is decisively true or false. A lot of things that we have to act on are basically probabilistic gambles, okay, risk assessments. Let's look at the other possibilities there. If you do believe in God, but God does not exist, then, you wasted your time. If you don't believe in God, but God does exist, then, what Pascal says is you're going to burn in hell. And if you don't believe in God and God doesn't exist, then you win, okay? But it's a kind of a meaningless win. I'm not sure if God would be pleased with the idea of you going to heaven just because you believed in Him as a kind of a backup policy, as a kind of an insurance policy, He's going to let you into heaven, but basically, you've basically hedged your bets, So that's what William James has to say. And there are a lot of things that apply. If you think about, let's say, climate change, it's not about decisively being right or wrong from William James's perspective. From William James's perspective, it's what would happen if we're right, or what would happen if we're wrong. And if you do those same squares with climate change, you see that if we're wrong about climate change and we don't act on it, then the consequences could be potentially devastating. Okay? So basically, beliefs carry with them negative consequences. So thinking that a scarf is going to protect you from COVID is not necessarily a good idea. All right? See you guys.